A world beyond the ice. A habitat of polar bears. In the middle of the ocean lies a vast, ice-covered island, almost a quarter of the size of the United States. A place where fewer than 60,000 people live, and where no roads connect the towns to one another. If you want to travel from one place to the next, your options are planes, dog sleds, boats, and helicopters. Greenland is strikingly different from almost anywhere else on Earth. It is visible on the map, right in front of our eyes. Yet, in reality, it feels like a frozen, hidden planet. Have you ever wondered why this island is called Greenland, meaning Greenland, when more than 80% of its landmass is covered by ice? And why does this frozen land continue to attract the attention of the world? The answer lies beyond the ice. So let's go beyond the glaciers and beyond the edge of the map, into a world where nature still dominates the stage. The Greenland ice sheet, the frozen heart of the Northern Hemisphere. The Greenland ice sheet is like a vast kingdom of ice, directly influencing our planet's climate balance. Covering approximately 1.7 million square kilometers, this immense frozen world holds a power that reaches far beyond the Arctic. From a distance, it may look calm, white and completely still. But as you come closer, the silence begins to reveal a world where time itself seems preserved in ice. Deep turquoise cracks run through the frozen surface like veins, revealing hidden depths beneath. Polar winds never stop. They shape the snow into frozen waves, and across this endless white landscape, the wind seems to hum as if trying to tell us something. Perhaps it is whispering one of Earth's oldest stories. This is where the breaking begins. Huge masses of ice split away with a powerful sound and become giant icebergs. These frozen giants are not only spectacular natural wonders, they are also part of a vital ocean ecosystem. As they drift and slowly melt, they release mineral-rich nutrients into the sea. This cycle feeds a chain of life that begins with microscopic plankton and reaches all the way to great whales. The white beauty of this world cannot hide its fragility. The Greenland ice sheet is not only a distant Arctic landscape. It is a massive natural system connected to oceans, coastlines, and the climate balance of the Earth. A change here does not remain only here. It touches distant shores, seas, and even the landscapes of the future. To look at Greenland is not only to witness beauty, it is also to see the delicate balance of our planet. The surprising story behind Greenland's name. A green name, a white world. The first surprise about Greenland comes from its name. In the 10th century, a Norse explorer known as Eric the Red was exiled from Iceland. Searching for a new land, he reached a vast frozen island. When Eric arrived, he understood something clearly. If he described this place simply as a world of ice, it would be difficult to convince anyone to come here. Who would cross the harsh North Atlantic for a frozen world? so he looked for a name that carried a promise. A name that suggested greenlands and fertile valleys. He chose Greenland. That name became one of the most fascinating stories in the history of the Northern Hemisphere. Greenland sounded like a place of green valleys and livable coasts. Yet most of the island was, in reality, a world dominated by ice and whiteness. Across the water, Iceland offered green volcanic landscapes in many places. While the heart of the land called Greenland remained hidden beneath the silent depth of ice. Today, beyond the simplicity of its surface, Greenland also draws attention because of its strategic location. Possible Arctic sea routes and underground resources such as rare minerals and gold. Just as in the past, this white land continues to fascinate the world. A capital in the shadow of nature. Nuuk is not the kind of capital most people imagine. There are no skyscrapers reaching into the sky, and no wide highways cutting through the city. What you notice first is not the size of the city, but the grandeur of the nature surrounding it. Mountains rise behind it. The sea wraps around Nuuk from almost every side. No matter how much Greenland's capital tries to come forward, the stage always belongs to nature. In this geography, colors matter deeply. Modern concrete buildings stand beside wooden houses painted red, blue, yellow, and green. At first, these colors may seem like a matter of architectural beauty, but they also carry a practical function. During winter, when snow blurs boundaries and distances, colors help people understand where they are and where safety begins. This visual system is surprisingly organized. Red often marks places of gathering and trade, such as shops, markets, and churches. Yellow is associated with hospitals and clinics. Green points to schools. Blue, as you might expect, belongs to the sea, fish processing and packing facilities. These colors create a practical visual language that helps people navigate settlements. In a world covered by snow and ice, color becomes a language of survival. Nearly 1/3 of Greenland's population lives in Nuuk. Yet it never feels crowded. People do not rely only on weather forecasts. They shape their plans according to wind, ice, and light. In the long darkness of winter, the city glows with street lamps and the bright warmth of kitchen windows. In summer, the sun seems unwilling to set, and time begins to move differently. This phenomenon is known as the midnight sun. The boundary between night and day slowly disappears. When the weather is clear, travelers can sometimes see humpback whales surfacing just off the coast, surprisingly close to land. Their movement near the city makes Nuuk itself feel like a temporary guest in a much larger natural world. Nuuk is the administrative center of Sermeq, Greenland's largest and most populated municipality. Stretching from the rugged western coast to broad eastern landscapes, this territory feels like a bridge between two sides of the island. Across Sermeq's vast geography, the ice sheet, mountains, fjords, and coastlines shape the identity of the region. Drifting ice along the shores, deep landforms, striking landscapes, and the island's powerful natural character all come together here. If this cinematic journey through Greenland has already helped you see the Arctic in a new way, stay with us as we move from breathtaking landscapes into cultural memory. The story of this island becomes even deeper. Secrets preserved by the cold. The Greenland National Museum holds artifacts that carry the past into the present like frozen photographs. Among its most famous exhibits are the Qaqortoq mummies, preserved entirely by natural conditions. 3 women and a child were found lying side by side, sealed within the cold. They open an extraordinary window into the island's history, reaching back many centuries. When you look at their faces, you do not see drama, but a quiet calm. Their fur clothing still holds its shape, and the fine stitching can still be seen today. These details from the early Inuit world reveal how people adapted to nature, cold, and the difficult conditions of everyday life. The polar cold has acted almost like a time machine, carrying the past into the present. Even after centuries, skin, hair, clothing, and everyday objects were preserved in remarkable condition. These remains are not only objects from the past, they are traces of Greenland's cultural history, survival knowledge, and human stories. Outside, Nuuk continues with the rhythm of modern life. But among these preserved traces, time slows down. Tradition, identity, and knowledge of life stand before us as a quiet inheritance. Greenland's gateway, Kangerlussuaq. For many years, Kangerlussuaq was one of Greenland's main air gateways, an important airport settlement that developed from a former U.S. air base. It is one of the rare places where the Greenland ice sheet can be reached by road. Located at the inner end of a fjord, approximately 170 to 180 kilometers long, it has a more stable climate than many coastal areas. Around it, you may see musk oxen moving across the open land. Its clear skies also make it one of the notable places for viewing the northern lights. Many travelers pass through the airport without knowing, or perhaps without seeing, the powerful landscapes around it. Kangerlussuaq quietly invites you to explore. Growing without losing itself. Sisimiut is Greenland's second largest town. Old wooden houses, workshops, and apartment buildings stand together in quiet harmony. It is the northernmost town on Greenland's west coast, where the sea remains ice-free throughout the year. That single difference shapes almost everything: fishing, trade, and the rhythm of town life. The town is built on rocky ground. Yellow, red, and blue houses cling to the rocks, connected by long wooden stairways. Streets twist, paths climb, and from a distance, Sisimiut looks like a colorful and picturesque settlement resting on gray stone before a blue sea. Fishing stands at the center of trade, not as a symbol, but as work that supports the lives of the people here. Depending on the season, snowmobiles wait near boats in the harbor, ready when conditions require them. Sisimiut is also the western end of the Arctic Circle Trail, one of Greenland's most famous long-distance hiking routes. This trail runs for approximately 160 kilometers from Kangerlussuaq, crossing tundra, lakes, and low mountains before reaching this town. For hikers arriving here each year, Sisimiut is both a destination and a first real encounter with another face of Greenland. Sisimiut carries its history into the future. It proves that modern life in Greenland does not require abandoning the values that once made survival possible. The town of ice. Imagine icebergs passing beside you day and night. That is Ilulissat. Some rise higher than buildings. Along the coast, colorful houses stand out against white snow and ice. In Ilulissat, transportation is by boat and air. There are no roads connecting it to other towns. Daily life follows daylight and weather. In summer, the sun almost never sets, and the days begin to blend into one another. Sleep itself can feel disoriented by the endless light. In winter, the nights become very long, and darkness seems to settle without end. Outside the town, there are open areas that locals often refer to as dog areas. The number of dogs in the town is said to come close to the number of people. Hundreds of Greenland sled dogs live here. Fishing remains central to the region and to local work. Fish are caught, work continues, and life moves on. Travelers and visitors come to the area to photograph the nearby ice. They are often amazed by the scale of the enormous ice formations. What feels extraordinary to tourists is part of ordinary life for the people who live here. Ilulissat is one of Greenland's most visited towns. It is a place where ice defines the horizon. Depending on the period and the measurements used, Sermeq Kujalleq is considered one of the fastest moving glaciers in the world. Sermeq Kujalleq, also known as Jakobshavn Glacier, is one of the fastest flowing glaciers outside Antarctica. It moves slowly toward the sea, and it is said to calve more than 35 cubic kilometers of ice each year. If melted, this ice would represent an extraordinary volume of fresh water. This constant movement pushes enormous volumes of ice and makes Sermeq Kujalleq one of the major iceberg sources in the Northern Hemisphere. Near the mouth of the fjord, the seabed rises and prevents some giant icebergs from escaping. Some are truly immense. Much of their mass remains hidden below the water. They can remain there for months, sometimes years. These towering ice formations, often compared in scale to the tallest skyscrapers in New York or Dubai, glow with a strange turquoise light as sunlight passes through compressed ice. A faint crackling sound fills the air. Air bubbles trapped for thousands of years burst as the ice slowly melts. The sound can resemble distant, endless fireworks. The area is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, not only because of its visual beauty, but also because of its importance for climate research. Scientists study Sermeq Kujalleq to better understand changes in polar ice and their influence on global sea levels. The icebergs born here carry air bubbles trapped thousands of years ago. Tiny time capsules preserving traces of ancient atmospheres. Disko Bay is a broad body of water south of the Nuuk Peninsula. It also acts as a gathering place for giant icebergs born from Sermeq Kujalleq. Because parts of the bay are shallow, these frozen giants can become grounded, creating a maze of ice. Their shapes vary: blocks, sharp towers, domes, and forms carved by wind and water. In some areas, light interacts with the ice so that it shifts from bright white to deep blue. In summer, the bay comes alive. Humpback whales migrate from warmer southern waters. Rich currents carry krill and small fish, drawing them into the bay. They rise and move among the ice, slapping their tails against the water. In a world of silently drifting ice, they bring a living warmth. Disko Island tells a different geological story. Unlike many coastal regions of Greenland, Disko Island is known for its volcanic basalt structure. Its foundation is volcanic basalt, with a character that recalls the geology of Iceland. Jagged cliffs stained with deep red and burnt brown rise sharply from the coast. Below them, turquoise icebergs drift silently. Red mountains above, blue ice below. It feels as if two different planets have met here. On Disko Island, many geothermal features reach the surface, bringing a hidden warmth to this cold geography. This warmth helps the island become unexpectedly green in summer. Mosses thicken, grasses spread, and wildflowers bloom in color along steaming streams. It is one of the most botanically striking places in Greenland. Warmth rising from below brings life to the region. In many parts of Greenland, dog sledding belongs mainly to winter. But on Disko Island, because of higher elevations and persistent ice in certain areas, sledding can sometimes be possible in more than one season. The heart-shaped mountain, rising from the deep blue waters of the fjord, Uummannaq Mountain stands like a giant heart. Its two sharp peaks create a distinct shape, making it both a landmark and a symbol. In Greenlandic, Uummannaq literally means heart-shaped. At the foot of the mountain, a village of wooden houses holds onto the land. small boats move through icy waters. Sled dogs remain essential companions in frozen terrain where machines may not be enough. In some popular Danish and Greenlandic stories, Santa Claus is believed to have a home around Uummannaq. The island lies within an extremely deep fjord system. Icebergs from nearby inland glaciers tend to linger here rather than simply pass through. Over time, shaped by nature, these icebergs take on unusual forms or grow to enormous sizes. The depth of the fjord allows these huge ice masses, sometimes hundreds of meters high, to drift close to the shore with remarkable stability. Above the mountain, some of the Arctic's most astonishing sky scenes unfold. In summer, the sun sends its light over the island for 24 hours, turning icebergs into glowing objects. In the middle of winter, the northern lights twist above the heart-shaped summit in green and violet ribbons, creating unforgettable views. Uummannaq is where the harsh cold of the Arctic meets human warmth. Eqi Glacier lies about 80 kilometers north of Ilulissat and is one of the most striking places in Greenland to witness glacial calving up close. For visitors, that closeness can sometimes feel unsettling. Nicknamed the Calving Glacier, Eqi's ice front stretches for kilometers, and its walls often reach serious heights. Sharp, cracking sounds echo from deep within the ice every few minutes, signaling that another collapse may be coming. Just like lightning and thunder, the collapse appears before the sound arrives. A massive wall of ice breaks away before your eyes, and only afterward does the sharp, deep sound travel across the water. When tons of ice fall into the fjord, powerful waves can form, strong enough to rock boats waiting at a safe distance. The rich waters in front of Eqi attract seabirds to the area. If you are lucky, you may also see seals resting on floating ice. These visitors take advantage of one of the few comforts this geography allows: art carved into stone. Qaqortoq is one of the largest towns in southern Greenland. With bright wooden houses arranged on steep rocks above the harbor, it looks like a carefully designed film scene. In the early 1990s, the local artist Qaqortoq began the Stone and Man project, transforming Qaqortoq into a permanent open-air sculpture museum. More than 18 artists from across the Nordic world carved directly into granite rocks and natural stone surfaces scattered throughout the town. Instead of placing sculptures into the city, art rises directly from the ground. Walking through Qaqortoq feels like moving through an outdoor art gallery. Many carved works are woven into everyday life. A thoughtful Inuit face emerging from rough stone, whales moving across a rock near the post office. Arctic symbols etched into surfaces where children play. The granite here is hard, and artists must patiently bring softness out of the roughest material. In Qaqortoq, art and nature are inseparable. The town reflects the deep bond between human imagination and the geology beneath it. Traces of Norse heritage. Hvalsey Church is one of the best preserved medieval Norse sites in Greenland. Built around the 14th century by Viking settlers from Iceland, it stands in a green valley overlooking a fjord. Despite more than 600 years of Arctic weather, its granite walls, about 1.5 meters thick, still remain. Massive stones are tightly fitted together. The roof and interior are gone, but the arched windows and main entrance still face the blue waters, showing how Catholic Europe and northern exploration once reached this far. Hvalsey Church also carries a remarkable story: the Viking people of Greenland. According to records, in 1408, a wedding took place inside this church. The marriage of Thorstein Olafsson and Sigrid Bjornsdottir. It may seem like an ordinary wedding, but it is regarded as the last known historical document of the Viking presence in Greenland. After that, Viking traces gradually fade. According to historical theories, by the mid-15th century, the Viking settlements of southern Greenland may have been abandoned because of factors such as the cooling climate of the Little Ice Age. Weakening trade routes, depleted resources, overgrazing, and growing isolation. Qaqortoq is a UNESCO cultural landscape that carries the traces of Norse farming traditions alongside Inuit hunting traditions and later agricultural life. Even after the Vikings left, the landscape retained layers of their methods. Sheep farming was later adopted and continues today on farms spread across southern Greenland. Growing on top of a lost world, Igaliku is one of Greenland's most picturesque places. Located near Viking ruins, at the end of a fjord, it sits in an area where the soil is surprisingly fertile. This was once Gardar, the religious and political heart of the island, the center of a Viking bishopric, and one of the strongest centers of authority the Vikings established here in the 12th century. The modern settlement story is associated with Anders Olsen and his Inuit wife, Tuperna, who founded a farm here in the early 1780s. They reused red sandstone from the ruins of Gardar to build their homes. Today, that architecture still stands in warm earth tones against snow-covered mountains. Igaliku has a very small population. People farm and raise sheep. White sheep graze between red stone outcrops. Green fields spread along the road leading into the settlement. At times, the region resembles rural Scotland. Life moves slowly here. Igaliku shows how human communities can renew themselves. Another community grew on the remains of a lost Viking world, learning to share the land and live with it. Treasure in the depth of stone. Narsaq, in southern Greenland, is often described as an open-air geology museum because of its rare minerals. Some of them are difficult to find so easily anywhere else on Earth. What makes Narsaq remarkable lies beneath the surface. Rich mineral deposits, including rubies and rare minerals such as tugtupite. Tugtupite is known for its color-changing qualities and its red glow under ultraviolet light. This geology began billions of years ago through complex processes that created magma intrusions holding hundreds of mineral types. Narsaq attracts scientists and mineral seekers. It is also an important farming area. Its relatively mild climate supports sheep and cattle farms. Green pastures and blue icebergs drifting offshore create a striking contrast. Narsaq makes you feel that value is not only found on the surface, it waits silently in the depths of ancient rock. Tasermiut is often described by climbers and explorers as the Patagonia of the North. The fjord stretches for approximately 70 kilometers through southern Greenland. It is famous for steep granite towers rising sharply from the water to heights above 1,000 meters. Peaks such as Ketil, Uummannaq, and Qaqortoq make the region especially attractive to climbers. Fine rock flour carried from nearby glaciers gives the fjord water a turquoise tone. Shining together with the silver-gray faces of the cliffs. These surfaces, polished over millions of years by Ice Age glaciers, have become dream landscapes for free climbers. The silence of Tasermiut is sometimes broken by meltwater falling from high cliffs. Or by the sudden splash of salmon in clear water. Uunartoq is a completely different world. There are natural hot pools warm enough for bathing throughout the year. On a small and isolated island among the fjords of southern Greenland, the water remains around 37 to 38 degrees Celsius, even when the air drops below freezing. This warmth comes from groundwater, heated under pressure deep below the surface before rising again. People used these pools long before modern tourism arrived. For Inuit communities, they were rare places of warmth in a cold world. Visitors today can soak in natural heat while watching ice drift through the fjord. It is a remarkable balance between the warmth inside our planet and the cold of its surface. The scale of East Greenland. Tasiilaq, the largest town in East Greenland. It lies on Immersive Island, deep inside a fjord surrounded by sharp peaks that rise like spears toward the sky. With a population of around 2,000, Tasiilaq is the cultural and administrative heart of East Greenland. In winter, the fjord freezes solid, so dog sleds remain important for reaching nearby settlements. In summer, the snow melts, and life continues between granite towers. Sermilik means the place of glaciers, and the name truly fits. This fjord system, about 80 to 90 kilometers long, contains one of the most impressive iceberg routes on the East Greenland coast. Sermilik Fjord is partly fed by Hvalsey Glacier, one of Greenland's largest and most active glaciers. Massive ice blocks breaking away from Hvalsey slowly enter the waters of the fjord and move from the interior toward the Atlantic. For scientists, Sermilik offers a natural laboratory for studying how warming oceans affect glacier melt. Scoresby Sund is one of the largest and deepest fjord systems on our planet. Its geology tells the story of millions of years of Earth's history. Like the roots of a giant plane tree, it extends more than 350 kilometers into Greenland. At its deepest point, it reaches around 1,450 meters below sea level. Dark basalt cliffs in the south, colorful layered sedimentary mountains in the north. Black rock, white snow, and deep blue water all come together here. Scoresby Sund collects countless icebergs released from glaciers draining the inland ice sheet, turning the fjord into a shifting desert of ice that changes from day to day. Near Scoresby Sund lies Tasermiut, one of the most remote and isolated settlements on the map. Very few people live here, with a population of around 350. Access is possible by sea during the very short summer season, while for much of the year, dense sea ice closes the coast to ships, making helicopter transport essential. Dog sleds are also actively used. What defines this place most is its people. Qaqortoq is an impressive example of how human life continues in one of the world's most challenging geographies. If you enjoy remote landscapes, lesser-known wonders, and the stories behind remarkable destinations, subscribe to True Explorations before we continue toward Greenland's far north. The far north of the world. Qaanaaq is one of the settlements of northwest Greenland, associated with the historic Thule region. Located above the 77th parallel north, it is among the northernmost inhabited places in the world. Months of polar night are followed by a summer of midnight sun. From April to August, the sun does not set for long periods. From October to February, darkness rules the landscape, lit only by moonlight and the northern lights. In this extreme geography, the views are extraordinary. In this region, Greenland sled dogs are among the greatest helpers of the people who live here. They accompany humans across frozen fjords and help reach hunting routes. They are remarkably adapted to cold, wind, and distance. Sled dogs, with their endurance, order, and ability to move together, provide security on long journeys. Each one knows its place within the team. They are the warm companions of a cold world. Covering the entire northeast of Greenland, Northeast Greenland National Park is the largest national park in the world, at around 972,000 square kilometers. It is larger than many countries, Only a small number of scientists and Denmark's serious dog sled patrol are present here. In temperatures far below freezing, where modern machines can fail easily, a small team crosses this endless land with dog sleds. These journeys can last for months. Northeast Greenland National Park is one of the important habitats of polar bears. These powerful animals hunt seals on sea ice. Arctic foxes are also found here, changing the color of their coats with the seasons to blend into snow or rock. The cold is extraordinary, and in winter temperatures can fall below -50 degrees Celsius. In a way, these harsh conditions have helped protect one of the planet's most untouched regions. This park is a place for those who want to feel an Ice Age world without traveling through time. We have traveled among ice thousands of years old, high granite walls, and communities living in harmony with these challenges. Here, nature always remains at the center. Geological time and human life are intertwined, and the weather itself becomes a shield protecting the character of this region. Greenland is a magnificent place and one of our planet's rare treasures. Thank you for traveling with us through this labyrinth of ice. The world is full of places waiting to be explored. Subscribe to True Explorations, and let's continue this journey together.